Did you get a haircut?
Wait, shouldn't I be asking you that?
Probably. My barber wasn't in yesterday, so I let someone else do it. I asked for a 3 on top, and I'm pretty sure I got a 2.
Is that a significant difference?
Kayla, I could feel the wind on my scalp for the first time in years.
I'm Marcus.
And I'm Kayla. Welcome to Almost Fluent.
Today we're talking about haircut English in America, how to describe what you want, what to do when someone starts making conversation while holding something sharp near your head, how tipping works, and what to actually say when the result is not what you asked for.
Okay, the vocabulary first, because I think this is genuinely its own language. I've been getting my hair done for years, and there are still terms I'm not entirely sure I'm using right.
There's a whole set of words that Americans just absorb over time without anyone sitting you down and explaining them. On the barbershop side, which is more my world, the biggest one is fade. That's when the sides and back get shorter as they go down toward your neck, a gradual transition. You'll also hear taper, which is similar but more subtle, less dramatic of a contrast between the lengths.
And high fade or low fade, what does that mean?
That's where on the head the transition starts. High fade begins pretty far up the sides. Low fade starts near the neck, so more of your hair on the sides stays at one length. And then there's the clipper guard system, which is how barbers control length on short hair. A number 1 is very short, barely any hair left. A number 4 is considerably fuller. The higher the number, the more hair stays.
So when you asked for a 3 and got a 2...
1 full guard size, which doesn't sound like much until it's your head.
In salons, which is more my context, the vocabulary is a bit different. Layers is a big one for longer hair. That's when the stylist cuts different lengths throughout, so the hair has movement and volume instead of just hanging flat. And trim is supposed to mean keeping the same shape and just cleaning up the ends. But trim is one of those words that different people interpret very differently.
Trim is optimistic language. You go in thinking nothing is really changing, and you come out a completely different person.
The safest thing in either setting is to be specific. At a barbershop, give a number. At a salon, give a length. Leave it at 2 inches. Number 3 on the sides. Specifics take the guesswork out of it.
And if you're not confident with the vocabulary at all, bring a photo. This works everywhere. Hold up your phone and say something like this. Barbers and stylists both appreciate it. Your hair might not do exactly what the photo shows, and a good professional will tell you that up front, but it gives both of you a shared target. There's no reason to feel self-conscious about it.
All right, the cut has started, and now there's the conversation, which I think catches a lot of people off guard.
The conversation at a barbershop is a completely different thing from what you'd experience at a salon. The whole shop is usually talking. It's not just you and your barber. There might be 3 other people getting cuts, a few people waiting, and everyone is in the same conversation. Sports, what's happening in the neighborhood, whatever's on. You can jump in or you can just listen. Either is fine.
So it's less of a performance and more like just being part of the room?
Exactly. The barbershop is a social space in a way that a lot of salons aren't. It's as much about the atmosphere as the haircut, which is honestly one of the things I love about it.
At a salon, it's usually more one-on-one. Just you and your stylist making eye contact through a mirror, and they're asking if you have any big plans for the weekend.
And the answer to that, by the way, is always the same move, regardless of where you are. Brief, warm answer, and then redirect. Not much, just keep him busy. Nothing exciting, just errands. Something low-key, and then what about you? Anything going on? Once you've asked it back, you're just listening. The pressure is completely off you.
I've been going the wrong direction the whole time. I'm in the chair trying to think of interesting things to say when I should just be redirecting.
And if you give short answers and the conversation naturally drops off, that's fine too. A professional will read that and let it go. They're focused on your hair. You don't have to perform.
Tipping. Because this varies so much between countries, and I genuinely don't think it's obvious from the outside.
In a lot of places, you'd never tip someone who cuts your hair. In America, it's standard and expected, in both barbershops and salons. The general range is 15 to 20% of the cost of the service.
Does the type of appointment affect that?
For longer or more involved services, color, highlights, treatments, tipping closer to 20 or a little above is common because those appointments take real time and skill. For a standard cut, 15% is completely appropriate. The percentage holds pretty consistently across both settings.
How does it actually work at a barber shop? Because I imagine cash comes up more there.
Cash is very common, yeah. A lot of people tip their barber directly in cash. You hand it over when you're paying. Some barbershops now have card machines with a tip line, same as a restaurant. Either way, you give it to your barber before you leave. You don't need much preamble. This is for you, or just handing it over with a thank you is completely normal.
At a salon, it can get more complicated if multiple people work on you. I've been to places where one person washes your hair and a different person does the actual cut.
In that case, ideally, you tip them separately. The person who washes your hair, usually called the shampoo assistant, would typically get a few dollars of their own rather than sharing in the stylist tip. If you can't manage separate tips, handing one amount to the stylist is fine, but splitting it out when you can is the more considerate approach.
Last thing, what do you do when you look in the mirror at the end and it's not what you wanted? Because I think most people, including me, would just say thank you and leave.
That instinct is real, but the honest answer is say something during the cut, not after. Once the hair is gone, it's gone. If you're watching in the mirror and it's going shorter than you asked for, that's the moment to speak up.
What do you actually say without it feeling confrontational?
Actually, can we leave a little more on top? Or, I think that's short enough on the sides. That's it. Barbers and stylists want to get it right. They'd much rather you say something in the moment than leave unhappy. Most of the time, they'll stop and adjust without any issue.
Does having a regular barber make that easier? Because it sounds like if you already have a relationship with someone, speaking up feels less like a confrontation.
So much easier. When you have a regular barber, someone you go back to every few weeks, there's a shorthand. They know your hair, you know how they work, and if something's off, you can just say so. It's more like correcting a friend than flagging a problem with a stranger, which is a big part of why people are so particular about finding a good barber and sticking with them.
And if you only realize something's wrong at the very end, after it's done?
You can still say something, but stay specific and stay calm. I think we want a bit shorter than I was hoping for. Is there anything we can do? Gives them something to work with. Getting confrontational doesn't change what happened, and it doesn't help either of you. But a quiet, direct comment at the end is completely reasonable, and most professionals will take it seriously.
So speak up early if you can, stay specific if you're raising it at the end, and accept that some things just can't be fixed in the chair.
Exactly. And hair grows back. I'll have a 3 again in a couple of weeks, and I'll make sure my actual barber is in that day. That's our episode on haircut English. Whether you're sitting in a barbershop chair for the first time or trying to figure out what to say when your stylist asks about your weekend, hopefully this makes the whole experience feel a little less like guesswork.
The language really doesn't have to be complicated. A specific number, a reference photo, or just the willingness to say something while you're still in the chair, that's genuinely all it takes to walk out with what you actually wanted. And remember, the best way to keep building your English is exactly what you're doing right now, listening to real conversation regularly. That's it. Keep tuning in and it'll come.
She's not wrong. We'll see you in the next episode.
See you next time on Almost Fluent.